Recently I watched Kiki's Delivery Service. It was my first time watching it. And yeah, I have watched this movie for the first time at my 29 years old and 33 years after its release in Japan. As you can see, following trends isn't my thing. But I can say that this movie is highly relevant to the time we are living in now, and if you haven't seen it, I can recommend it to you. I'm going to share my impressions with you and a lot of interesting facts about this movie that I discovered after watching. Throughout the film, I felt like Kiki and I are the same person, since I have literally the same character, behavior, thoughts and feelings. I just couldn't help but recognize myself in her. I'm having the same worries of being accepted, same worries of finding your life place, same disappointments of feeling not good enough, same joys of being alone with my craft, and I really need to see those few good friends that I love but just can't spend much time with. She's some kind of creative introvert who has to deal with her life by herself. Kiki is a witch, just like her mother. She is 13 and traditionally she has to leave home for 1 year to learn how to be a witch and to practice magic skills. But I think that's this movie really a metaphor about growing up, and you'll see why I think so later. She lived in a small village in a house on a high mountain. I'm drawing a scene from the very beginning when Kiki was lying in a field, looking at the clouds and listening to the weather forecast on the radio. I can see by the serious look on her face that she's making a decision to fly now or to stay for a little while at her hometown. And she knows exactly that future won't be easy. But after this scene, we see another where she happily runs home full of enthusiasm to tell her parents that she has decided to leave today. Flying on her broom in the new city with her talking black cat, which name is Gigi, Kiki noticed that the rhythm of city life and the people in the city are different from how she had imagined. She has to find a place to live and a job. Nothing magical, right? This situation is somehow familiar to every young person who has left home and wants to start an independent life, to decide how you want to live your life and decide who you want to be by your own. Kiki was noticed by the bakery owner. Her name is Osano. She has offered Kiki a job at her bakery in exchange for housing, and that was great. But when Kiki walked into her room, which was a loft under the rooftop, she saw a dusty and uncomfortable place. She tried to deal with it by cleaning, enjoying the view out of the window, and by buying some stuff for living. I can see that she did the best she could, but she still feels that she isn't as nice and cozy as she was at home, and I'm familiar with this sad feeling. But I also have more life experience than Kiki, and I know that this feeling will gradually pass. As a family of 2 adults and a child, we have moved twice, and I don't talk about moving inside the city. I'm talking about really big moves. The first time we moved far from our hometown, so it took over 40 hours, I guess, something like this. And the second time we moved to another country, which makes this move even harder. But all I'm trying to say is it takes different amount of time depending on the situation, but things will be fine someday and you'll feel better at a new place. Also, after all the moves, one phrase was born in my head that home is where the family is. If you have a family and you love it, so you don't want to run away from them, I'm not speaking about this now. But I also think that it's better for every person, with or without family, to say that home is where I am. Kiki wasn't moving with her family, only a cat friend, and it seems to me that if you carry your home inside, you'll feel a little easier. Home inside yourself is a good relationship with yourself, firstly, your values and interests. This moving thing touches me so hard that I can speak about this for a really long time, but I want to get back to the plot. Kiki is trying with all her might to build her life. She has a place to live and she shouldn't pay for it since she's working in a bakery. But she still wants to train her magic to become a good and successful witch, and she also wants to buy some stuff. She invents the idea of opening a delivery service and begins to deliver orders on her broom. In the process, she will meet many adults and children, some of whom she will feel sympathy for, some of whom she will envy, some of whom she will be angry and even upset with. Also, being friendly and responsible, she will work too hard so that one day she will burn out and feel depressed, and noticed that she turned her love of flying into a job that sucked the joy out of it. Kiki is so crushed that she's physically unable to fly and also doesn't understand her cat Gigi anymore. It means not only the loss of her income, but loss of a huge part of her identity. And it's so familiar. I bet every creative person would relate to that. When you're doing your best to get noticed and appreciated because of your craft, let's take social media example. You're working hard month by month, or I don't know how many years, and all this time you're willing to be valuable to people, but also you want to take your place under the sun, which in social media context is your work sales and views. You have to make living out of your art, or find a job, or try to combine both. You're feeling such a big pressure since nobody or nothing can give you a guarantee that you'll succeed these goals and in what amount of time this will happen. Luckily, Kiki wasn't left alone with this life disaster. Her artist friend Ursula came to visit her right in the perfect time, and thanks to her, Kiki will understand that these complicated feelings are happening not only to her. Ursula will share her experience of burnout and ways of dealing with this. Sometimes you need a friend in your life. That's how the creative community support is important, extremely important. At the end of the film, Kiki will see on TV a friend of hers, his name is Tombo, and he'll be in trouble. She will rush to save him, and to do this, she has to fly on a broom again, and that's how she will regain her ability to fly. But she can't understand Gigi ever again, and I will get back to this a bit later. Having said all this, I hope you now understand why I think this film is very relevant to nowadays and to creative people. Now I want to share some exciting facts about movie creation itself, which I found on Wikipedia and Ghibli fandom site. First of all, movie is based on a children's book by Eiko Kadono with the same name, and the book is very different from Miyazaki's finished film. Kadono's novel is more episodic, consisting of small stories about people and incidents Kiki faces while making deliveries. Kiki deals with many challenges in the novel, but she wasn't so downed by burning out. Many of dramatic events, such as Kiki gets attacked by many crows, or even losing her magic power to fly a broom, didn't happen in the book. Miyazaki explained that movies give a strong sense of reality, so that's why Kiki must face greater challenges and feeling of loneliness. And speaking about bringing more sense of reality to the movie, Miyazaki noted that witchcraft has always been a way of fulfilling the wishes of young girls, and those witch characters always became idols without any difficulties. In contrast, Kiki cannot use her powers as a means of wish fulfillment, and I really like this idea of his, even to make the wizard as similar as possible to an ordinary person, because that's who the audience will be able to associate themselves with. The novel was based in a fictional country in Northern Europe, but in the movie the city is called Koriko. Some careful viewers found city's name on a policeman's head, as well as according to Miyazaki. This is how the Japanese imagine an old European city. There are elements of Naples, Lisbon, Stockholm, Paris, and San Francisco all mixed in. So one side faces the Mediterranean, while the other faces the Baltic Sea. He went there on his travels and saw all those places by himself. For the most part, Koriko is composed of images of Visby, which is in Sweden. And Sweden was the first foreign country Miyazaki ever visited. It was for the Pippi Longstockings project back in the 1970s. Can you imagine how long ago it was? The trip didn't achieve its purpose, which was getting permission from the author of Pippi, but Visby apparently left a strong impression on Miyazaki, so he later used these images in Kiki. As it turned out to me, there were some changes with songs and English dub, which were approved by Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli. The original opening and ending theme songs were replaced by 2 new songs. It was during the first Disney release in US in 1998, but Disney re-released the film on DVD in 2010, and the opening and ending songs were replaced with original Japanese songs, and I like this fact. Also, I was surprised when seeing a piece of original movie in Japanese that Gigi was speaking with a girl's voice, compared to English version where Gigi is having male voice. They said that in Japanese culture, cats are usually depicted with feminine voices, but I don't know why Gigi wasn't given a female voice in English version too. Also, in the first version of English voiceover, Gigi was more sarcastic, more lines were added, and most importantly, at the end of the movie, Kiki understood Gigi again, whereas the second version of English voiceover tried to return those moments more to the original, and like the original Japanese version, Kiki wasn't able to understand Gigi again. Miyazaki explained this like Gigi is the immature side of Kiki, and this implies that Kiki, by the end of the movie, has matured beyond talking to her cat. Speaking about end of the movie, when the credits began, we were shown how Kiki and Gigi's lives has changed. They now have their own things to do apart from each other, but still remain good friends who don't even need to talk to each other. It makes me feel such a slightly encouraging, but at the same time, such kind of light sadness, and these feelings are really complicated. I'm very interested to know how do you feel and think about Kiki's delivery service. How many times have you watched it? At what age did you first see it? And have your thoughts on the movie changed over time? Because I've only watched it now and I can't keep track of those changes, but I can ask you. So I hope to see you in the comments and in the next video. Bye!